Imagine you run a small artisan sake brewery in Singapore, and one day a major hotel chain asks for your sustainability report before signing a supply contract. You have never heard of one. Could this moment make or break your business? I am Teresa, and today we are going to explore sustainability reporting, what it is, why it matters, and how Singapore's evolving regulations could directly affect even a small operation like yours. You will walk away knowing exactly how to get started. Let us dive in. Let me break down where different types of companies currently stand when it comes to sustainability reporting requirements. Listed companies and large non-listed entities are under mandatory obligations, with phased climate-related disclosure requirements beginning from financial year 2025. Think of it like building codes. Larger structures face stricter compliance, while smaller ones follow different thresholds. For smaller non-listed companies like ours, reporting remains voluntary, but strongly encouraged. Voluntarily adopting these practices early builds credibility and competitive advantage in a market that increasingly rewards sustainability transparency. Sustainability reporting is far more than a regulatory checkbox. It is a strategic management tool. Think of it like a company's health report card. It reveals strengths, exposes weaknesses, and guides better decisions going forward. Internally, reporting helps organizations identify sustainability risks and opportunities before they become costly problems, drives alignment across teams around shared environmental and social goals, and strengthens the overall business model against future disruptions. Externally, it builds credibility with stakeholders, satisfies regulatory requirements, and aligns your operations with the values of your supply chain partners, creating stronger, more resilient business relationships across the entire value chain. Let us take a look at how Singapore has positioned itself in the sustainability reporting space. In 2022, the Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority and Singapore Exchange Regulation jointly established the Sustainability Reporting Advisory Committee, known as SRAC, to chart a clear roadmap for advancing sustainability reporting across Singapore's corporate sector. By February 2024, that roadmap became official, introducing mandatory climate reporting through a phased implementation approach. Then, in August 2025, the timelines were updated to give listed companies and large non-listed companies more runway to build their reporting capabilities, including meeting external assurance requirements. Think of it like a construction project with staged milestones. You do not build the roof before laying the foundation. The phased approach gives companies time to develop systems, train teams, and meet each requirement properly before moving to the next level. What makes this particularly significant from an engineering and business standpoint is the strategic opportunity here. Companies that develop strong climate disclosure capabilities early are not just meeting regulatory obligations. They are positioning themselves for access to new markets, new customer bases, and green financing instruments that increasingly require verified sustainability data. This table captures the updated climate reporting and assurance requirements announced in August 2025, showing a phased implementation timeline across different company categories. STI constituents, which are the largest listed companies, face the earliest deadlines. Scope 1 and 2 greenhouse gas emissions reporting starts from financial year 2025. Smaller listed and non-listed companies follow on a staggered schedule, running through to 2032. Notice how external limited assurance requirements come in later, giving companies time to build internal systems first. If your company falls outside these mandatory categories, voluntary adoption still signals credibility to investors and supply chain partners. When it comes to sustainability reporting, companies do not have to start from scratch. There are established frameworks that guide what and how they disclose. Think of these frameworks like building codes in construction. They set the minimum standards and structure so that the output is consistent, comparable, and credible across different organizations. The three most commonly used frameworks are GRI standards, ISSB and TCFD, and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. GRI is the most comprehensive, covering economic, environmental, and social impacts, and nearly all SGX-listed issuers have adopted it. ISSB and TCFD take a more targeted approach, focusing specifically on climate-related financial risks and opportunities. The UN SDGs provide a globally recognized set of development goals that companies can align their activities toward. One important point: these frameworks are not mutually exclusive. A company can, and often does, use more than one. The choice depends on who your audience is, investors primarily, or a broader group of stakeholders, and whether your focus is climate specifically or ESG more broadly. ESG ratings work like a credit score, but instead of measuring financial creditworthiness, they measure how responsibly a company manages environmental, social, and governance risks relative to its industry peers. Institutional investors and asset managers use these ratings alongside conventional financial analysis to build a more complete picture of a company's risk profile. The major challenge in this space is the lack of harmonization. Different rating agencies use different methodologies, different data sources, and different scopes, which means the same company can receive very different scores from different providers. That inconsistency undermines confidence in the ratings themselves. Singapore has responded to this through the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which in 2023 released a finalized code of conduct for ESG rating and data product providers. This code establishes baseline standards around transparency and methodologies, governance, and conflict of interest management, ensuring that ratings remain reliable and independent. Working alongside ICMA, MAS also maintains a list of providers who have publicly committed to adopting this code, which is a meaningful step toward greater standardization in the region. Writing a sustainability report follows a clear 5-step process. You start by choosing the right reporting framework and defining your scope. Then identify which ESG topics are most material to your stakeholders. From there, you collect reliable data and set measurable targets. A critical step is avoiding greenwashing by ensuring your claims are backed by verifiable evidence and independent assurance. Finally, you publish and actively distribute the report across multiple channels to reach your stakeholders effectively. Starting sustainability reporting from scratch can feel overwhelming, but there is genuine support available, especially here in Singapore. On the digital side, Gprint, launched by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, automates and simplifies the reporting process, and SMEs can produce a basic report completely free. If cost is a concern, the Sustainability Reporting Grant helps businesses offset expenses for their first report, covering both listed companies and larger non-listed firms. For smaller businesses needing structured guidance, the SME Sustainability Reporting Program builds your team's capability step by step. And if you need to find verified solution providers, netzerohub.sg gives you a curated directory of carbon accounting tools and reporting platforms. You do not need to figure this out alone. These resources exist precisely to lower the barrier to entry. We have covered some important ground today. You now understand what sustainability reporting is, why it matters, and how everyday engineering decisions around water, energy, and waste are actually the building blocks of a credible sustainability story. These are not abstract concepts. They connect directly to what you will do on the production floor. Start building those habits of tracking and measuring now, and your future workplace will thank you for it. Once again, this is Teresa. Thank you for watching.